And I'll quickly move to Ms. Innocentia. Pardon me if I got that correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Brilliant. As a project manager from Hatch, I also just want to understand what are some of the key challenges you foresee in scaling up this copper production, and of course, we're still maintaining sustainability and efficiency. So just from a project delivery perspective, what are some of the key challenges that you also feel from in terms of scaling up a copper production?
Yeah. Thank you, and thanks for having me today. I'll start my response as per my fellow panelists who says they'd like to tell a story. So I've been working on projects, with Hatch across the globe. In my early careers, I started with designing and building railway lines, and I'm glad that's received a lot of emphasis in yesterday's discussion. And operating in three principal sectors, in mining, in energy, and as well in infrastructure. And I think the lessons across the board with all these projects is that they take time. And our 3 million tons per annum target, if we look at what timeline we have to achieve that, it tells us we need to be more aggressive and more innovative in terms of how we are to deliver these projects. So our work entails from the vision of you think this is what you have in the ground to seeing it in production. And I think the challenge that's pressed upon us is, given the timelines that we still have, how can we be more innovative in making sure that we get these projects up and running as quickly as possible? So the challenges around financing, sometimes funding and financing is delays, and that's a bigger risk, because obviously these projects require huge capital investments upfront to enable you to do your early upfront studies. And even before you get to an investment decision, a lot of work has to go into ensuring that investor confidence is instilled on that development. So how can we mobilize funding in part quicker? How can we arrive more efficiently towards the right technical solution towards that development? So those are the things that we need to answer. And then how do we gather up the skills that are really required behind this to achieve this critical mass? I think Zambia in the next 5 to 10 years will look like a construction site. You'll see multiple tower cranes coming up, because that's the type of energy we need to get these projects up to scale. So I think it's quite critical. If you think about how long it takes to build a mine, a greenfield mine, if you ask anybody here, they'll say it depends. I'll give you the same answer as well. But yeah, so innovative project delivery is quite important. There's a lot of opportunities in brownfields as well, where you can look at optimization of current processes to achieve that step change within your operations. But also with brownfield upgrades, it presents also its set of challenges, especially if it's not thought out upfront. Yeah, so I'll park it there.
Thanks for that. And I think also what I picked, what's really coming out is, the financing component. I think which also Dr. Vene said, and also Innocentia, you've actually alluded to the financing component. So we've heard from the producer, we've heard from a project manager. I also just want to hear from the consultant or the engineer that's